The only thing strange about this season is that it's not that great. Hey everybody, welcome back to a new episode. Today we're switching things up a little bit and we are talking about the first part of season 5 of Stranger Things. I don't really talk about TV shows on here all too often, but I feel like this is a good one to get into. So many people love this show. It's been going on for 10 years at this point, more or less. It's kind of crazy to think about that. The first 4 episodes of the season have dropped on Netflix, and I have to say that I am, pretty mixed on this season so far. I remember during my college years watching the first season of the show, all of these cute little kids on screen, just having a really fun time, and pretty much each year getting more and more invested in the show. And I thought season 4 was really, really good. I thought that first episode in particular was wonderful, and then just following the storyline of Eleven and Vecna going at it against each other, her trying to save the world, all these people around her. I just found it very well done. I thought it was very cinematic. I know that that's kind of what they're going for with this season. And I just don't know. It's just not really hitting as well as that season did, as well as a lot of the other seasons did. And yeah, it's just kind of been a weird watch for me so far. These first 4 episodes dropped, and I think that they have been fairly lackluster so far. Number one, I think it's because this is the first season where we aren't necessarily getting a whole new storyline and a bunch of new characters to follow and just so many new threads to follow. I just find that because it's a continuation of season 4 and they really built that season up to be honestly the best one at that point, and it had these really high stakes and huge consequences. I just feel like this build-up so far with this season just has not gotten at all close to what that was leading up to. Even those early episodes in season 4, I felt like really were building up to something so grand and gigantic and just explosive. And I know that we're still in these first few episodes of this season. I think we're like halfway through at this point, but I don't know, I'm just not really like as invested in what is going on. Mainly, I'm very disappointed in the writing. I think this might be the first example that I have seen of this whole Netflix idea of being able to make shows and films, whatever type of content, for people who are just constantly on their phones or they're walking away and doing stuff in the kitchen, where it doesn't necessarily need to keep their attention for the most part. You don't need to get into these complex dialogues and plot points. For example, Will Byers is moving back into a main character this season because he is feeling Vecna's curse on him. He is able to see through the eyes of these Demogorgons as they're coming into Hawkins and ready to attack people. And he eventually figures out that he is connected to the hive mind still in some way after all of these years, and that is why he's able to kind of put himself in the place of all of these monsters. And he has explained that, I think, every single episode so far. We keep getting all of these flashbacks to things that just happened in the last episode that we've already gone through and we've already explained, but they keep putting it in every single episode just in case you forgot or just in case somebody wasn't really paying attention to this. And it is so mind-boggling that they do this, especially since the show has, as far as I can remember, literally never done that before. I just find it so bad and so clumsy and just choppy, and I don't know, after a certain point when you watch it, you're like, yes, I get it. I know that this is happening. I've already remembered this from 2 episodes ago. It's been established, and thank you for repeating it for one more episode. I did not need it to repeat for the second episode in a row. So that is something that I'm not really a fan of. I also just think that in general, these characters are lacking any type of personality. Everyone is just like on level 10 at this point. We're always yelling at each other. We're always like talking about what is the plan that we're doing. There's barely any just regular dialogue between people. Or if there is, it's like, all right, here's a quick little scene where we're just kind of talking about something else, and then let's dive into what the action plan is. And then maybe we'll get into like another random little thing, and then here's the action plan. And then maybe we'll repeat something just in case somebody else forgot that we already talked about this in the previous episode. Again, it's just not good. Those first few seasons just had a very earnest feel to them. And granted, they were children when they started this journey, and it was just very sweet to see these kids being kids and kind of being thrown into this scary situation and seeing them succeed in the ways that they did. It was just really nice to see that, and I feel like that has just kind of gotten lost entirely as the years have gone on, and especially in this season. We just kind of dropped in on these people, and it was kind of like, all right, time to go, here's the game plan. I always enjoy spending a little bit of time with them just to, see how the relationships have changed, how they have developed. They're obviously older, they have newer interests, but I just don't really know what those interests are. I will say though that Gaten Matarazzo, I think his Dustin is still the most interesting and most compelling person on the show this season, mainly because he has kind of taken on this maybe newish persona, especially as his friend Billy died last season. He's kind of stepped into his shoes and his place in a way, and so I've enjoyed seeing him. I actually really like his acting the most among most of the people on this cast. I think it's also always difficult when you have so many different people in different areas. You have Hopper and Eleven in one area of the Upside Down. Now you have Steve and Nancy and all these people in another area of the Upside Down. You've got Joyce and her kids somewhere over here, and this military stuff that's going on. It's a lot of jump cuts and moving from storylines, and I don't always think that the editing is as well as it could be. I think they're taking a long time to really get into the crux of, I guess, what Vecna's plan is, what is really going to happen. So far, it's just kind of been people in a place doing pretty much the same thing, waiting for the Demogorgons to come and then kind of acting after that. But the one storyline that I am very interested in, that I find the most compelling, is dealing with Vecna and this like memory space that he has created in the Upside Down. He has captured and taken Nancy and Mike's sister Holly into the Upside Down, but it doesn't look like the usual scary place. It is in his old house, and he clearly has a plan. He wants to take these kids, do whatever he wants to do to take over the world, whatever. Again, I don't really know. But I always enjoy following Holly's character, and eventually as her journey leads her back to Max, Sadie Sink's character, who has been in a coma since the end of season 4 because she almost died under the hands of Vecna. We kind of get a little bit more intrigue going, especially because, again, Max has been stuck in the Upside Down, but for whatever reason, they just don't really show us like her journey. I would have loved to have seen more of just Max being in the Upside Down, and we get little snippets of her trying to find her way out and all of these mazes that she's going through. And I found that far more interesting than pretty much everything that we've seen in this season so far, so I would have loved to have spent more time with that. And in particular, this last episode, as I was referencing to not being edited very well, as she is explaining the things that she is going through and what she's done, it cuts at a very pivotal moment, and then it just kind of goes back to the regular storyline, and then when it cuts back to her, it again is just like continuing from that moment on. And so I'm thinking, why did we even bother cutting from this? I would have rather seen this all kind of wrapped up in one moment just to really get myself even more interested in this storyline. Aside from the writing and the editing, I just do not like the CGI work of this season. Apparently, the reported budget is around 400 million, 500 million for this season, which is insane. Why is it then that the graphics and the CGI and the cinematography just do not look good whatsoever? There are multiple moments where these Demogorgons are coming into Hawkins, and they just look bad, like so bad. You can tell that so many things are like on a green screen and it's just blatantly obvious. Somehow these graphics looked so much better in the first few seasons when I think the show was still kind of, establishing itself up until this point when it is this huge Netflix beast, but it just really does not look good. And it's very distracting, at least to me in my eyes. I just keep focusing on, God, that looks really bad. Like, I'm not frightened, I'm not convinced by anything that I'm seeing, which is kind of what you need with a show like this. Even Vecna looks very weird. I did see somebody joke to say that he took Ozempic, and I did see a season 4 and season 5 photo of him, and the difference is quite crazy. I mentioned earlier that the performances aren't really that great. I don't like necessarily naming names, but Noah Schnapp, who plays Will Byers, I'm just not really liking his performance whatsoever. I find it very awkward, very stiff. Like, there are certain moments of dialogue where he is just like as wooden as a tree when he is talking. There are other times though when, he's screaming out in agony and, looks very convincing. It looks good. Otherwise, no, not really feeling it. This might also just be something that I noticed, but when people are running or doing anything remotely athletic in this show, they look really awkward, as if they have never run before in their lives. I have no idea what is going on. Maybe I'm the only person who noticed this, but I just remember thinking, that is a choice, okay. Overall, I think so far this first part of Stranger Things season 5 gets either 2.5 stars out of 5 for me. I will keep watching the show, of course, and I think at the end of the day, that is exactly what Netflix wants, whether you like it or not. And yeah, I want to see how this show ends. I have literally spent 10 years of my life watching this show, so might as well finish it with a bang. Part 2 drops on Christmas and part 3 drops on New Year's, so we have a few more weeks to see where we're gonna land with this show, but I will be back giving you my fresh thoughts when it's time. Thanks everybody for watching. Let me know what you think of the season so far, and I will see you here next time.